お前はもう死んでいる。
敵の戦艦を発見しました。
Hey Metro City, today I will be talking about my experiences in the Azuma and why she is a better choice over the Alaska. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Alaska. The Azuma is better than the Alaska. Come on, I'm not dumb. I know. I know what I'm saying here. And you're gonna have to believe me on this. The Azuma is the most overlooked ship. In fact, while I'm making this, I am stabbing myself in the gut because I'm telling you how great she is and how few Azumas you see around. How many Azumas do you see in a game? In a day, even. Like, I've seen, other than myself, I've only seen maybe 3 other Azumas in my 209 games in her. Which is a real shame because this ship is great, better than the Alaska. I'm going to get into that in a second. But she is better than the Alaska, and the reason is quite simple. She is a battleship. She's not a cruiser. You don't play her like a cruiser. You play her like a Yamato. Now, that's just how people play her. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of why she's better. The Alaska's HE Alpha is pathetic. Have you ever shot a full side rod with salvo against another ship in an Alaska? The most I've seen is 4,000. Now, the Azuma, that's an average amount. That's pathetic to the Azuma. The Azuma does 10,000 as her max. That is astoundingly better than the Alaska. Bow in, an Azuma will beat an Alaska every single time. The second Azuma shows broadside, she's dead, of course. But this can be remedied by having the Alaska always in front of the Azuma, which is what it should be. That's how you play the game. Now, apart from her HE Alpha, she also has great fire starting chances and great penetration. Her fire starting chances are almost 20%. And if you don't know what that means, it means almost every salvo you'll be setting a 1 or 2 fires, 3 if you're lucky. I've had 3, and that's the most I've set on fire. This allows you to burn the other ships at a quite significant rate. Like, if it's Japanese, if you're facing another Japanese ship, that ship will burn to death before they even get a chance to fire back on you. And here's where people start to shy away from the Azuma, is her reload is astronomically long. 20 seconds is her base reload, and that is pathetic for a cruiser, even a heavy cruiser. That is. The Atago has a 16-15 second reload. And, you know, Azuma's got 20, and you're thinking, oh, that's shit, right? Well, the Azuma, if you put the reload thing, I can't remember its name, it's the reload buff in equipment, it gets it down to 17 seconds, which is a lot more manageable than 20. You're basically playing in a toggle at that point. But here's where it really gets interesting. The way I play Azuma is I play her really risky at the beginning of the match. I'll charge in full, I'll be like a normal cruiser, and I'll immediately get destroyed. Not destroyed, but like, you know, Citadel. Everyone wants to shoot you. You're just a floating Citadel. And I'll go down to low yellow, maybe even red HP, and that's when things get really interesting. Once you get to red HP, there's nothing they can do. They just eat a whole bunch of shit. It's kind of funny, because if you have Adrenaline Rush on it, she will perform so much better for you. Since she has so much health, the more health you lose, the faster her reload is. I have seen her reload get down to like 11, 12 seconds, and you're pumping out these amazing shells every 11, 12 seconds. And you create a barrier between yourself and the nearest ship of just HE. And each salvo is doing 10k plus some fires. I mean, and here's the thing about the 20-second reload. It really isn't that bad, because they're going to panic damage con if you set 1 or 2 fires. And then by the time your next rounds are in, you'll be able to shoot again. Now, we can get into complications where it's not that good and your DPM sucks, and her DPM is pretty bad, but her alpha is gotta be the strongest out of almost any super cruiser. And that's not even talking about her AP. Her AP is astounding. It doesn't get very good pens like the American pen angles, which is what everyone plays the Alaska for, right? Those amazing pens with the AP. But her AP alpha against the broadside target, it can hit battleship citadels. I've hit German citadels in this ship. I don't have any proof of that, but it has happened. You gotta trust me on that one. In fact, at the very beginning, you saw me almost one-tap Buffalo. It's really close. It's a lot easier to destroy the British cruisers, of course it is. They're British cruisers, but it was close. He was left at like 78 HP or something, which is like more than half of his, which dealt more than half of his health, right? But the HE is what you're going to want to focus on, because her AP is good, but you're not going to want to have a ship so close to you that your AP can actually matter. That's the problem, is getting your AP to matter. Now, her concealment. Ooh, her concealment. I want it so much for it to be better, but it's a super cruiser. I think Wargaming knew exactly what they were doing when they were making her concealment, because it's better than Alaska's, which is great. And it means you can get the first salvo off of an Alaska. But it's not good enough to be undetected by normal cruisers. A Otago will outspot you by 3 kilometers. And that's the ship below. But she is a super cruiser. Her guns are massive. I think they're 13-inch or something, which is huge for a cruiser. Like, that's 1 caliber away from being a battleship. And with a concealment at 11.9 with all the concealment builds on it, I mean, what more could you want? You're not gonna get, like, again, a toggle. I'll keep it referring to the Atago because she's the most famous Japanese premium, I swear. But she plays a lot like the Atago in some retrospects. However, the one problem they have with the Azuma over the Atago is that Azuma's armor is bad. They that's their main thing. It's so bad. It's pathetic. I have bounced 18-inch shells in this cruiser before. I don't know how. It was great though. I love doing that. That's my favorite part about this. Her armor is 27 centimeters, which not centimeters, millimeters, right? Yeah, millimeters. Her armor is 27 millimeters, which is not enough to bounce 16-inch shell, or it's enough for 16-inch shells to overmatch her, which is the real thing there, is that you can't battle 16-inch battles. I don't know why you would want to be in a cruiser and battle 16-inch guns anyway. Like, unless you're the Smolensk or something, where you can launch torpedoes and then daca them to death. There's no reason to have that much armor, or to ever go up against a battleship with 16 inches. Now, granted, that means you can't rush Iowas, you can't rush almost anything at tier 9. You can John Bart's. That's a big thing there. But she's not supposed to rush. She's like I said at the very beginning, she's a battleship. You have to play her like a battleship. Even though she's got the cruiser designation, she is a battle cruiser. And this is where people get messed up. They want to play her like Alaska. They want so badly to be able to rush in, carry a team, pop radar, and find the DDs. She is a good DD hunter, but she doesn't have radar. The thing about radar here is, I will be the last ship in a battle, because I'm not in Alaska. I've had battles where it was all Alaskas. This happened to me today, actually. There were 3 Alaskas on the enemy team, and 2 Alaskas and an Azuma, me being the Azuma on my team. And every single Alaska died before I even got hit. The thing here is that Alaskas, they have to use the radar. Their team's telling them to use the radar. It's their job to use the radar. They're not allowed to do anything else. They're not allowed to sit back and snipe because their dispersion isn't that good. And even if they did, their shells are too floaty. They can't do anything. The Azuma has good dispersion, has good shell velocities, has great sigma, and she just, I don't know what to tell you. She's just got everything going for her. She doesn't have radar, but that is a blessing in disguise, because your team is not demanding that you go and radar a ship or something. She does get hydro, which is a much, much better consumable than radar is at when you're a ship that can't take very much hits. Because sure, you do have to get a lot closer to smokes, but that's where her guns really shine, is when you surprise a destroyer in his own smoke, or a light cruiser, depending on which. You can choose HE or AP, and with expert loader you can just switch in between really easily and really quickly. There's no reason to choose the Alaska if the Azuma can do everything just better. Now, let's get one thing out of the way. As I'm sure you have seen, and I'm sure you have heard, she eats a whole lot of citadels from every angle. You'll get citadel from the back, you'll get citadel from the bow, you'll get citadel from plunging fire. You're going to get citadeled. which is one thing the Alaska has over the Azuma. The Alaska, it doesn't take as much citadels. But in the Azuma, you should be shooting at ranges that you can easily dodge. And here's the thing. Here's what most people say. Her turn circle radius is pathetically large. You can turn and you won't see the effects of that turn for 5 seconds. However, this is actually a blessing in disguise once again. If you can't even tell that you're turning, how is the enemy going to tell that you're turning? If the enemy can't tell that you're turning, they're going to whiff their shots, as I'm sure you will see all over the place in this video. She just dodges. And what I like to do is I like to charge in full steam ahead, start turning once I have spotted an enemy, and thanks to her great concealment, you can do that. And once you shoot at the enemy, all their guns are going to be trained on you and you alone. They will forget about your BBs. And while that happens, you can let your BBs take them out. However, that leaves you very exposed. So what I do is while I'm turning around and I'm shooting at them, I have my stern pointed towards the enemy. And while I'm retreating, I will shoot over my shoulder and dodge shells. It's really easy actually, and in the Azuma. I can't do that in the Alaska. If the Alaska tries to do that, I'm going to be gunned down because everyone wants to kill the Alaska. It's a radar ship. And they can easily tell what you're going to do because she's quite obvious in how she turns. But there are times when she gets really close to a battleship that she probably shouldn't, or she gets, she detects a ship that was way closer than you previously thought, and you get blapped for 400k. 40k, not 400k, that would be insane. You get blapped for 40k. Which gives you that great adrenaline rush. However, there's also a chance of you becoming dev-struck, which is, I don't want to say a common occurrence in the Azuma, but it has definitely happened more than once. And here's where we get into the argument, the real meat of the argument of which is better, the Alaska or the Azuma.
敵の駆逐艦を発見しました。
She has torpedoes, both long range and short range. She can brawl. She's really good at brawling. Azuma doesn't have torpedoes. Azuma has really good guns and not much else. She can dodge. She does get good torpedo protection. However, her large turn circle radius means it takes forever for her to start moving. But that's why you get Hydro. And if you're smart, you know how to use Hydro, and you know how to dodge torpedoes. I'm not gonna say good. Hydro definitely makes it a lot easier, which is something Alaska 2 does good, but they're gonna be so focused on their radar that they won't even care to notice that there are torps coming in. Now, I'd like to thank the whole 5 of you who actually sat down and listened to this long commentary of which ship I think in a game is the best, and I hope I enlightened you on the subject of which is better. I'm not gonna say, I don't care if you like the Alaska over the Azuma, I don't care if you like the Azuma over the Alaska, but tell me which one you like, the whole 5 of you that are actually subscribed to this channel, which one you like better, the Alaska or the Azuma, and which one we all know is the true superior ship. The Siegfried. The Siegfried dominates on everything, and there's nothing you can do about it. Alright, all jokes aside, I will see you next time, and I love you, random citizen.
私はその中の一人でしかないわ。